Hey gang, it's James Sexton, America's divorce lawyer and host of the Not Too Late podcast from Los Angeles Magazine Studios. Getting a lot of inquiries today about my take on the Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater divorce or impending divorces, and what's our take on this. So just wanted to break it down for you. So in case you've been hiding under a rock or a pineapple under the sea, sorry, SpongeBob joke there for the Ethan Slater fans. You know, this is a romance now, Ethan Slater and Ariana Grande, that wasn't too terribly secretive apparently on the set of the filming of Wicked that they're doing in London together, where they're co-stars. But apparently it was something of a secret to Lily J, who is married to Ethan Slater and from whom Ethan Slater has now filed for divorce. So a lot of questions about, you know, what's the timing on this? And of course, you know, the only people that really know what's happening in a relationship are the two people who are in it. And to be candid, even they only know about a quarter of what's going on from my experience. But in this situation, let's look at the facts, because, you know, what we always tell our clients as lawyers is it doesn't matter what I know, it matters what I can prove. And what's really important is taking a look at what's undisputed. So Ethan Slater and Lily J, Ethan Slater, star on Broadway of SpongeBob SquarePants, successful Broadway actor who is now filming the film version of Wicked with Ariana Grande as his co-star in London. Married to Lily J. They celebrated their anniversary in November of last year, and they also welcomed their first child last year. So the child's not even 1 year old yet. So, you know, for those of us who are looking at it and now, of course, comments being made about, well, they weren't really that happy and they weren't really together and they were apart. Okay, well, they were together enough that, you know, less than a year ago they had a child together. But again, is it possible? And do I see as a divorce lawyer people having a child as a Hail Mary pass, that a relationship isn't working out and they go, you know, maybe a child will bring us closer together, and they decide to have a child in the hopes that it's going to bring a couple that's having problems closer together? Yeah, that happens all the time. That's something that I hear from a lot of clients. Sometimes that's true of a second child, a third child, where they say, well, the bond between us will be strengthened by having a child. So again, that's all speculation. The truth is at the bottom of a bottomless pit. Who knows? But let's look at the facts. And the facts are high school sweethearts, married, welcomed a child less than a year ago. And then in December, so 1 month after their anniversary, Ethan Slater leaves for London, where he's going to film the film version of Wicked with Ariana Grande as his co-star. Now, as recently as May of this year, there was some buzz when he posted for Mother's Day, the first Mother's Day with his spouse, Lily J, an Instagram post that said, "Happy first Mother's Day to the most loving, caring, wonderful person in the world." Adding insult to injury, that's an Instagram post that was liked by Ariana Grande. So, you know, this is May 2023. So for those of you who are playing at home, that's 2 months ago. Now, conspicuously absent from that is anything like, "To my wonderful wife, whom I adore more than anything in the world." He's mostly commenting her personality characteristics, being loving, caring, wonderful, and focusing on her as a mom. But again, that's what's appropriate for Mother's Day, right? If this was a Valentine's Day post, it would be a little more suspect. But as of May, he was complimenting her, and Ariana Grande was liking his post about his spouse. Now, again, the narrative's being reshaped. This happens all the time when people get divorced, where they rewrite the history of their marriage. And you'll talk to one side, I'll talk to my client, and they'll say to me, "Oh, we haven't been happy for years." And then I'll say to them, like, really, does your spouse think you haven't been happy for years? Is your spouse aware of the fact that you haven't been happy for years? Because sometimes people can be, you know, in the same world and on two different planets. And so again, whether Ethan Slater was in fact unhappy in his marriage, or whether Ethan Slater has now decided his marriage was unhappy because he's now fallen for a new person, Ariana Grande, you know, that's something that we'll never be able to know or prove. The facts when it comes to Ariana Grande and her estranged spouse, Dalton Gomez, much more straightforward. There's no kids involved, so that certainly makes things easier. If the two of them split, they do not have to maintain ties to each other, whereas Ethan Slater and Lily J, of course, are going to be grandparents together someday. They're going to have to attend dance recitals and events together someday. They are going to be family together for the rest of their lives. And if, by the way, Ethan Slater and Ariana Grande end up staying together, then this bad beginning or this questionable beginning or this beginning that's giving people, you know, bad vibes about them, it's going to follow them. It's going to follow them for the duration of things. So again, this is where it's unfortunate when things start off on this kind of a note. But Ariana Grande and Dalton Gomez married May 2021. This is kind of a blink if you missed it divorce. They've been married, for those of you doing the math at home, 2 years, 2 months before their separation. And the question really, again, on everyone's mind is, when did this relationship start? Now, from a lawyering perspective, if I was representing Lily J or Ethan Slater, the good or bad news, depending on which of the two of them you're talking to, is there's no good spouse bonus or bad spouse penalty. If a person is cheating or not cheating, whether he was estranged from his spouse when he took up with Ariana Grande or whether they were, you know, blissfully happy and this was just an affair that went wrong or went right, depending on who you ask, is really not relevant. And another challenging thing for people to hear is, even if he was being dishonest in his relationship and he was, you know, involved in this affair with Ariana Grande, who was married, and he's also married, and neither of their spouses at the time had any knowledge of this, that really doesn't necessarily reflect poorly on his parenting abilities. You know, to be a parent, of course, it's good to be honest. It's good to be a person of high morals or good ethics. But I think we can all agree that there are people who are great parents and bad spouses, or great spouses and bad parents. It's a different skill set. If you're a good cook, doesn't mean you're a good farmer. If you're a good farmer, it doesn't mean you know how to cook. So there are different job descriptions, being a parent and being a spouse. So that may not impact things. What's really coming out in the last few days that I think has a lot of people scratching their heads is, when was Lily J notified or told about what was going on with Ariana Grande and her husband, Ethan Slater? And the speculation that's coming out in the last 48 hours is that she was only advised of his relationship with Ariana Grande a few days before, or a very short time before, the news of their relationship became public. Now, this is not uncommon, where a person sits their spouse down and says, hey, I've been having an affair. But they're not doing it out of any sense of moral duty or out of any sense of, you know, this is the right thing to do to move forward in this next chapter in my life, as much as this is going to come out, and I'd rather you hear it from me than hear it from Page 6 or hear it from TMZ. I would rather break this news to you than have it be broken to you by the press. The question that begs is, you know, does that person get moral points for that? Or is that really, hey, you were about to get caught, so you shared this information with this person? Would you have shared it with them if it wasn't going to be coming out? Now, again, the press is reporting from all over, and this is always a source of a source of a source, saying that Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater have not been secretive on set, holding hands on set, spending a lot of time together on set. And again, we all know how frequently co-stars tend to fall for each other and get involved in relationships. I mean, one of the all-time heavyweight divorces in the history of family law, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, rumored to have begun while they were both in separate relationships, while they were on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith together. So, look, this is all, this is nothing new for Hollywood, that co-stars end up having relationships with each other, developing close bonds. I think anyone who's ever worked on a movie or television set can tell you it's an idealistic world where you're sheltered from the outside world and you're just together and you're encouraged to have emotional connections to each other, especially when you're playing love interests in a story. So, of course, it's a ripe ground for people to have these kinds of experiences. But again, these are people whose lives are already in progress. I mean, you know, Ethan Slater, yes, if you're spending a ton of time with Ariana Grande in a romantic setting where your needs are being catered to by third parties, of course, it's understandable that you might develop some feelings for this person. But you've got a less than 1-year-old child and spouse on the other side of the pond that are probably not having as idyllic of an experience at that moment as you are on a film set with Ariana Grande. So the fact that he immediately prior to this news breaking sat his spouse down and said to her, hey, this is going to be coming out, and I think this relationship is over. It's going to be interesting to hear what comes out, if anything, here. Now, again, my advice to everyone involved in this situation, if I was to be providing them advice, if they were my clients, would be just keep the volume down on this stuff. These people have a child. One of these couples has a child involved. That child did not ask for this situation to happen, and we don't know where things are going to go from here. But it is in no one's interest to harm what we know is an innocent child in this. We don't know if Ethan Slater and Lily J had an incredibly unhappy marriage, were totally unfulfilled in their relationship, had a child together as a Hail Mary to try to save the relationship, weren't able to do so, and now will go on to be wonderful divorced co-parents who raise a wonderful child. That happens all the time. There are endless couples who've had terrible, ugly divorces who go on to be wonderful co-parents together. See Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. See Bruce and Demi Moore. There's so many examples of people that go on to be wonderful co-parents after having an ugly divorce. So ultimately, it's too soon to say what's going to happen from here, but I really hope the emotions dial down and that everyone prevails to the angels of their better nature. But I guess we'll all have to stay tuned and see. And certainly I will keep my eye out. As America's divorce lawyer, I see it as my sacred duty. Wishing you all the best. Lily J breaking her silence finally to page 6 and saying that she considers her family collateral damage, placing the blame for the situation that the family is in on Ariana Grande, who she describes as not a girl's girl. This is definitely the start, the opening salvos of a battle here, and the first shot fired over the bow publicly is certainly coming from Lily J, who page 6 reports is communicating with any media outlets who will take her calls. So this is a situation that is going to heat up quickly.